Functions of the United Nations. In this module, you will learn about the functions of the United Nations. The United Nations Organization, popularly known as the United Nations or the UN, is an international association committed to maintaining world peace and security. The UN assists in developing friendly relations among its member nations and promotes the progress of nations. The member nations pledge to maintain world peace and cooperate in solving international problems. The United Nations resolves international disputes, conflicts, and disagreements through peaceful methods as well as methods of direct action. By using peaceful methods, the UN expects that the nations will solve their disputes or disagreements through negotiations, mediation, or goodwill. The UN resorts to the use of direct action when the issues are not resolved by peaceful methods. The UN takes the assistance of peacekeeping forces of its member countries against the aggressor nations. However, direct action is carried out on humanitarian grounds. The United Nations has been successful to put an end to the war in the world. A lot of effort has been taken to create an environment that would help in the development of humanity and guarantee peace. The United Nations has made a significant contribution in the areas of conservation of environment, rights of the children, and empowerment of women. The destruction of the environment at a global level is a serious problem. The United Nations has put forward many proposals for the protection of the environment. Conferences have been organized to make the countries realize the seriousness of the issue, initiate a discussion amongst them, and solve the questions through their cooperation. In 1972, a conference was organized at Stockholm, Sweden. It led to the finalization of the Environment Program of the UN. Thereafter, an international commission was set up on development and environment that put forward the concept of sustainable development. In 1992, the organization of the Earth Summit was an important step in the efforts for the protection of environment. In this conference, some of the issues were discussed like the depletion of the ozone layer, protection of forest and other natural resources, biodiversity, and control over pollution. In 1997, an international agreement regarding environment was signed. This was known as the Kyoto Protocol. India accepted this agreement in 2002. India has actively participated in all the efforts for environmental conservation at the global level. India has always given priority to the issue of environment protection while deciding her economic, industrial, trade and other policies. The United Nations has supported the idea of the empowerment of women and male-female equality. The United Nations has declared 8th March as International Women's Day in order to focus on women's issues and to find solutions to them. The United Nations had designated the year 1975 as International Women's Year. And from 1976 to 1985, an entire decade was declared as the Women's Decade. The organization has set up training institutes and an independent fund for the development of women all over the world. The United Nations collects information about the different problems relating to women and takes decisions and implements them based on them. India is a founder member of the United Nations. India has accepted all the aims and objectives of the organization. India has played an important role in the peacekeeping functions of the UN. Recently, the Indian Peace Force in Somalia has carried out tasks like digging wells, supplying water, running schools, providing health services, etc. Such work of the Indian peacekeeping force is a matter of great pride for us. Disarmament is important to keep the pace of development and economic prosperity for the peace and stability in the country. Though attempts are being made for international peace, still some nations seem to be escalating the arms race. The arms race creates an environment of mistrust and suspicion among nations. Disarmament refers to the idea that international peace can be established if armaments are destroyed and their production or use is limited or stopped. In 1959, the United Nations declared its objective as universal and comprehensive disarmament. India has supported disarmament and has always responded to the efforts of the UN for disarmament. India has opposed nuclear weapons as the world faces the threat of a nuclear war. India has supported the policy of nuclear disarmament at the international level. No first use of nuclear weapons is the most important principle of India's nuclear policy. Let us now recap all the important points that we have covered in this module on the function of the United Nations.